Take it away.
Hey everyone, welcome to a show unlike any other where we mix Ninja Turtles and Power Rangers and into one show, Cowabunga Ranger Talk. I'm Mascara, and with me is my brother from another mother, right there, DTV83.
Yeah, yeah. All the way across all the way across the country as well.
Yeah,
We're doing fantastic, one side to the other.
yeah, old such and such. How you doing, man?
Only thing that would make this more crazy. Only thing that would make this more crazy if I lived in California, because then we would both have Disney. But unfortunately, I live in Seattle, so yeah.
Bro, you have some luck. We have some luck doing the show. Every time we start the show, like the police pass by.
Yeah, one of these days I'm going to be knocking on your door. Maybe not for you personally, but I know you're in there.
Yeah, maybe they heard. I don't know. They heard about what I said about Bill Murray from a few episodes ago, and they're like, "Not my Bill Murray." We did a whole
Right.
episode tribute to him, but whatever. So today we are going to be talking three topics basically. These are like open topics. We've done it in the past 2 years. So this is our third year doing this sort of theme episode where we talk about things we don't usually talk about on the show, things that aren't, you know, really Power Rangers, Ninja Turtles, or maybe one or two little sprinkling things. I think these are like fun to do as a once a year thing. It's not an everyday thing, but I think as for our third year,
No.
it's kind of building tradition. Also, before we jump into all that, you got any pickups or anything you want to run through before we get into it, or you're good?
No, I don't have anything picked up. I wish I had some pickups, but unfortunately nothing's happening at the moment for me.
Yeah,
Everything's on going towards June, I think is when things are gonna be picking up for pickups.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, I today was talking with the movie theater where I'm going to be launching my fourth show. 'Cause I'm an animator, so I'm going to be launching my fourth animated series. By the time this episode airs, it will have already happened, which is crazy. Ruler of time and space and all that.
Yeah.
But it's fun. It is. The tickets are on sale at the moment, and it it is exciting to do. I'm hoping I'll have everything lined up by then. I do have the masks because I'm going to be doing, since it's a show launch, it's a series launch, I'm doing like masks. So, I mean, my whole gimmick
Okay.
is like, they call me Mascara. So you figure, creator of Mascara
Yeah.
Fighters, so and so. So I figured make masks. So there's that. That's pretty good. The other day I went to, honestly, I went to Target to get one of those like $4 salads, and I saw something on like a super sale that was like ridiculously so cheap. So I had to get it, and I got this right here. I got
Oh, okay.
Rocksteady.
I saw those on your Instagram. Yeah.
Yeah, I got them for $7 a piece. They go for like 25. Of course, I was gonna get.
Hmm.
Look, two of them, the salad, and it was still less than $20. So I still came up. I
Nice.
still came up like $5 up comparatively. I just have to
Yeah.
find new chests for them, and I have repainted them so they don't look as. Because I think the colors that they used originally were kind of boring, which is probably why they didn't
Okay.
sell it. So now here I gave him more the traditional colors. Like he's got like the green vest and he's got like green boots, and then Bebop I gave him his red shirt. I gave him purple pants, and I'm coloring in. I have to give it a second coat, but of the feet right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's good. I wanted to separate them anyways because I like having Rocksteady and Bebop, not a Rock Bebop or whatever. I mean, I like having it, but that's another thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah. Oh, and yesterday I saw this. Oh man,
Wonder Woman. Yeah.
you seen this?
Yeah.
Wow, she
I
is.
don't think I've seen that one. No.
This is part one. This is
Okay.
with
No,
Gal
I haven't
Gadot.
seen part one.
Oh, you saw the part two with what's her name with the cheetah lady?
No, I
Or
haven't seen
what?
either one. I remember watching the old Wonder Woman show and reading a few of those comic books.
Oh, this is.
What was it? I saw the. Was she in Flash? I think she was in Flash, the movie.
Uh,
Where they go back in time and they see Batman and they see some of the other like
Probably because they.
Supergirl's also in that one. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't doubt it because she's like the longest running character in the DC multiverse, in the DC
Yeah.
cinematic universe or extended universe, whatever you want to call it. But this is Wonder Woman number one. Oh, buddy, she is. She's something special, bro. This is the movie. No, she does a very good. Hey, she's for DC. She's basically like Robert Downey Jr. for Marvel because you build a whole universe
Yeah.
around Wonder Woman. I mean, look, you changed Batman's, you changed Superman's, you changed Shazam's. Like three of the Shazam kids that grow up, they like fired him for the second movie. Like you change a lot of things. In Justice League, you can't do this. You're right. Like the Flash with Keaton, she has a thing in there. You build the entire DC cinematic universe around her. You know, just walking through movies. Her debut was remember Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and all she was doing there was just like answering emails through the whole movie. Like, I got an email from London. I got an email from Europe. I got an email from Gotham. She's not really doing
Yeah.
much until the end with that, with that CGI stuff. But a quick little recap of this. It's a fun movie. It's actually very comparative to Captain America. Maybe it's because I just saw Captain America so recently and I loved it so much, but it's like a lot of same ideas, a lot of, oh, you were raised for this and that. And like, she's also fighting the Lazis, just like Captain America's fighting the Lazis.
Yeah.
But I can't believe they're still doing the Lazis. But, anyways, go. This movie, it's like it is a fun movie to watch, but I'll say like I'm getting a little tired of like all of these movies throwing stuff at you in the screen because they want to make it look 3D. So they have the
Yeah. Yeah.
all right. Like I guess it works in the theater, but when you're watching it at home, it really, uh, you know, I don't
Well,
know.
let's back. God, what was it? 2000. I think I want to say 2005, 2007. That whole 3D thing was like a big deal for home. You can buy a 3D TV with a 3D Blu-ray player,
Yeah,
and it just kind of fizzled out. It kind of fizzled. It was like, oh, people really don't care about it. It didn't look that great. I remember seeing it. I was like, this is okay. But now, what you get in a theater, go to a 3D screening of a movie, and
yeah.
yeah, and it all depends on the way the TV is all set up and the contrast, and it's just like a pain in the ass. So,
Well, it's
yeah.
stupid because it's that slow motion thing that was introduced with the Matrix. You remember the Matrix was like the first real big budget movie to start like throwing stuff at you at the
Hmm.
screen. Yeah, and after the
Yeah.
Matrix, like everybody and their mother just started. Oh look, there's Iron Man throwing one of his bullets or something. They're like, oh, here's RoboCop. Boo, 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 boo. Like, come, really? Like, I get it. We're watching a 3D movie, but like, you look,
Yeah.
it's pretty stupid to even do that stuff because if you're watching a movie in the theaters, right? That means it's already recorded on 3D cameras, probably reds with filters and all of these other things. So you don't need to do that stupid. You're already watching it in three dimensions. Technically, you're watching it in four because you know if you're watching it in theaters, what do they say? That 4D or 4K and all that stuff in the theaters when you walk in there.
Yeah.
They've come up with another dimension. There's no more dimensions when you're just like watching a flat screen on your television at home. It's like, how
Yeah.
much more D's do you need? I mean, I don't want to make it sound like that, but like, how many more dimensions are you possibly going to get out of this movie? Like, oh, come on.
Right.
Yeah, but oh, and this one doesn't have a an ending credits scene like most movies have, especially superhero movies. So there's that. But
Yeah.
that's sort of my little review of that. It's a good movie
A-
though.
And you're sh- and you're sure and you're sure that's a real DVD, right? Not a bootleg.
No, it's real. I'm not supposed to show the thing there, but yeah, it's a real one.
Yeah, it's just it's a small joke from last time. That's all. If you didn't see the last episode, you won't get that joke.
Yeah, well, the diehards will get that one. Don't worry about it.
Exactly.
The ones that come here for everything that is Cowabunga Ranger Talk, the
Yeah.
automotive talk. When we go into Sanford and Son, the whole Bill Murray thing, we're starting to get themes too.
Right.
What all this show like the Colossus of podcasts? It's really not. But
Yeah.
actually, jumping into our topics, well, why don't you start us off? What's your first of three topics, buddy?
Okay, so my very first topic is a kind of a big one. It kind of deals with what's going on in the world slash our industry. I gotta say it's more your industry, but I follow the industry.
Yeah, yeah, go.
What do you think? Yeah, yeah. What do you think the toy business or the toy revenue of this year going to be with all the economy getting hit and all the stuff going on in the world? Like right now, I don't really want to bring it up. I'm going to bring it up this way. China themselves is at 145% tariff. Last I checked, that
Mm-hmm.
is a killer tariff for people that make Power Ranger toys and Turtle toys and Flash, Wonder Woman, whatever from China. Video game consoles, all that. I mean, I'm just talking about the toy industry.
Yeah,
How do you
yeah,
think that's going to affect overall for the next, let's just say till the end of this year? We're not going to go into 2026, but because
yeah.
during Christmas time and even before Christmas time, that's a big time to go shopping. And stuff's coming out in June, July. For
Yeah,
our industry.
we're about a month away
Um,
from San
yeah,
Diego, right? Like about a month and a half from San Diego, and
yeah,
that's the show of shows. So, um, yeah, that's a good opening topic. Without being political, because we don't really do that. Just sticking to toys and what you're saying, economy wise, into toys. Let's stick to toys here, not to get too
yeah,
weird and not to start a thing. Honestly, I think this is a long term thing. This isn't an easy fix. What we're tentatively gonna do, because like me personally, as a toy maker and as a toy designer, and you know and a serious creator, it'd be great if I can just, you know what, let me buy a warehouse, let me buy some 3D printers, or let me get some injection molding plastic. Let's get some industry things going. Let me hire 100
yeah,
employees. Go, but that's me thinking very simplistically, not logistically, as far as like dollars and cents, because you're talking more of the dollars and cents, right, of how we're going to get hit, because the industry is going to get hit. So I think
oh
it's
yeah,
a wait and see thing. It's honestly a wait and see. At best, and I do mean at best, this is I mean, the thing just started basically about a week ago for us. So with the whole tariffs and this and that, so I don't see like leveling off until like honestly probably 2028. Once
yeah.
2028 comes
Well,
and goes, I think then we can make uh, an actual conversation of this, because this is a long process. This is one of those things that like when C hit. Remember when C hit the world and all of these things were happening and everybody's like, oh,
Hmm.
the this, stay home because of the C, because of the C, because of the C. The C wasn't like an easy topic to talk about, and this is not comparing because this is apples and oranges, but still, it's like a worldwide thing that's affecting
Yeah.
everything. So I think it's honestly like, and that's being generous that this passes and that passes and we get cool with these people and we get cool with those people and because at the end of the day, what does everybody want, right? To make toys here in the stateside, which is great. That's what I would want, and we we like we're critical of even Super Seven because Super Seven is since we both collect Super
Yeah.
Seven, this goes into Super Seven territory because they're the first ones to start crying about Chinese New Year and this and that, and we had to switch factories to Taiwan, and Taiwan doesn't want to send us back to this, and oh no, now we're having problems with payment. Like so all of the problems that or the critiques if you will because we like to be constructive of Super 7 as well, we don't just like bury them, we try to be constructive, but I think that though all of those problems and all of the inner workings that Super 7 has been dealing with and most people just shut up and deal with, now everybody's going to be a lot more vocal about it too. Now I think people are going to be doing a
Yeah.
lot more podcasts and a lot more things, but it's going to be a lot more complaining too. I'm as an industry, I see a lot more complaining because they're going to be, oh, we had the Batman wave, and now we can't get it out of this and that, or the license, like we were talking the other day about the McFarlane thing. McFarlane, he can have like 20 toys lined up. If he can't get them out of the shipping yard, or he can't get them stateside, then he can't like add the barcodes. He can't UPC it. He can't even start putting into warehouse. He can't actually count his merchandise. So he can't even tell. He can order like hypothetically, he ordered 100,000 Leonardos, right?
Hmm.
You have to pick those up, right? Once they come in, you have to send somebody with a with two trucks or something. Hey, look, we're gonna pick up all of the Leonardos at Port Site 20 or whatever, and then we're gonna take them to our warehouse
Yeah.
where what we do is distribution because that's what you do. You scan in to your system and okay, this is one
Hmm.
Leonardo, two Leonardo, three Leonardo. It's very inventory ish. So like I said, I think that's kind of where we're going, and it's gonna be for everybody now. It's not just gonna be like I said, like
Yeah.
a critique of Super Seven or it's a critique of NECA or
No.
I I, I think that's where we're going. I mean, unless even hypothetically speaking, let's say we start getting economic breaks of this and that and this and that. So we do start making factories here, and we do start doing this, and we do start doing a lot of the stuff that we have issues with, across the world. That doesn't happen overnight, and
No.
this is a very big topic. I mean, you could like slice into it in a million different ways, but I think for now, the best answer I could say, or the only response I could say, is give it till 2028. We're like halfway into the
Yes.
year, and I mean things are just starting now. So I mean, for even prices
Yeah.
to level off, because that's another topic we could talk about for hours. Honestly, we could talk about, oh, is this toy worth $20 or is it worth 40? Like, you're out of your mind if you think I'm going to pay $40 for some piece of garbage, or whatever. It's personal opinion what you think something is
Yeah.
worth, right? But economics are economics. So, that's
Well,
kind of
that's
where I.
that's yeah. Well, here's the thing is, and this was my opinion when I was thinking about this is that we're gonna have well, we're gonna have a lot of the YouTubers that are highly worth, has a lot of money, still doing all these reviews. But the reality is, if the prices of the economy actually do skyrocket, like people are saying, because right now we're on a pause, because I think it's 10% besides China for tariffs. But if everything skyrockets like people think it's gonna, I don't think the collectors are actually going to be collecting because on day one of the release of the toy, because it's going to be too expensive for the average
Yeah,
day collector. You
yeah,
know, me included. I'm not going to be able to spend. Let's say Super Seven brings out um, all the Zords like I want with the power coins, and they want $300 from because of these,
Yeah, yeah,
coming from China or something, or $400. You ain't gonna see me buy those. It's gonna break me physically. Going, I want it because I've been asking for it, but I'm gonna be like, it's that or food on my table. It's that
yeah,
or gas for my car, and it would be. Well, I'm just gonna hold off on that and hope to God they're still there when I get a chance.
yeah,
And then it comes down to as well as Playmates is releasing the new Power Ranger line, that could be affected too for pricing. That Megazord that's $100 altogether could be 150, 200 by the time it's done. I don't think it will be, but it's always a possibility. If everything happens with the economy like people thinking it is, the problem is with collecting at that point is it's just going to be too goddamn expensive for a lot of us. It's the choice of I can have the greatest display in the world or the most what I've been wanting for years, or I can live in my car to get that, or I can actually live in a house and actually have food, electricity, running water. Will this settle down? Of course, it's going to settle down sooner or later, like you said, maybe 2028, maybe sooner, depending on what happens. But in the long run, my thought is toy collecting is going to really slow down in the world,
yeah,
and not just toy collecting, but that's what this subject's about is the toy collecting. So I can see like Pixel Dan getting a lot of the stuff, Mad Hatter, stuff like them. People like them will get a lot of
yeah.
the stuff because they
Industry
can afford
people
it.
like Toy
But
Bro and
yeah,
stuff like that. I know what you mean.
and then
They're
you're
like
just gonna look at it
great.
and go, not you personally, but the collector's gonna look at it and go, I wish I could have that, but I can't. You know, I'm glad that you have it. But I might get in about a year, 2 years later.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Looking at another angle of it, because you can look at this from different angles. This could kind of like become like the rise of tape trading. Like you remember back in the days when there was like VHS for like wrestling or whatever. Like, oh, you have a wrestling show that you can't watch or whatever. Make a copy and then I'll give it to you and whatever. And people were tape trading because they wanted to see a certain wrestler and they weren't at their region or whatever. So there could be something there too, where people start a lot of like toy trading just as an industry.
yeah, possible.
Okay, I love my Batman, but I don't need 20 Batmans, and you need a Batman, so you're gonna give me a Wonder Woman, and I'm gonna give you a Batman, and we figure it out. We split the difference on like $4 shipping or whatever. It's like I could see
Yeah.
trading becoming a big thing too. Um, the other day, I actually listened to Geek Dad Life, and I'll credit him on because he was talking about it, and he was coming up with the point, and it's a very valid point, where people could just start collecting vintage again, a lot more than they are now. Because where we are in the industry, it's like recreating stuff from the 90s and selling it to you at an upscale with more articulation, right? That's where the industry is right now.
Yeah,
Why don't you
it
just,
is.
yeah, why don't you just, if like you're saying about prices and this and that, you could just go back and get the original ones then. Like, oh,
Yeah.
here's I don't know, McFarlane multiverse. I'm just using it for example, Batman, right? Which is $25, or for like $12, I can have the Kenner one that you have, and you just sell it to me. And like I said about trades and things like that, that could be a thing.
Yeah.
It could also be you're gonna lose people honestly because you're also gonna lose like completists. I think that's gonna go like I'm I like being a completist because you like to have an entire line of something if you're gonna go that into it. But if you just can't, you
Mhm.
can't. So like perfect example. Like 2 episodes ago, we were doing like an unboxings and stuff, and you were talking about the you unboxed your glow in the dark Megazord, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, a completist would want to have all 7 versions of the Megazord in that scale or whatever, right? But if you can
Hmm.
only technically afford one or two, then that's where you are, and that's what it is.
Yeah.
That's like you made a very strong point where you said, "Hey, look, do I buy a toy or do I pay for gas? Do I buy a toy or do I get eggs? I mean, do I buy a toy or
Yeah.
I don't know, pay the electricity, regular adult people stuff, 'cause we all grown now, you know what I'm saying? It's not like Like we were kids, like, oh, mom and dad will take care of it. Those days are done. So especially especially
Yeah.
for anybody that watches this type of stuff and talks about it the way we talk, because we don't, especially our show, because we don't like really pander to anybody. We're not like, we're not shilly it. So we try to have more intelligent conversations, if you will, which is very important to the industry. I think we're kind of like creating our own niche in the industry of more thought than just screaming. Because a lot of these podcasts,
Yeah.
there's a lot of like screaming at the crowds,
Yeah.
like, "Ah," but you're not saying nothing. You're just like, or you're rumor mongering. Like,
Yeah.
there should be some intelligent conversation to this, especially if you're investing
Yeah.
so much
Oh,
time, money, and effort into it.
yeah. A lot of other podcasts will just have things from the internet to read off. Oh, we found out today that McFarlane is losing the license to DC, and
Oh
then
yeah, people have had
so
that.
and so, NECA lost the license for this and that, and blah blah blah. And yeah, it gets you lots of views, but then they don't really have an opinion. They're just like, well, okay, so they lost it. So what's your opinion on it? Well, we can tell that it was going downhill. No, you couldn't. No, you couldn't. It was there's something that happened. you know,
You
you
can
you
tell
telling me
too
that
what. Yeah,
yeah, you can
you
tell
can
me that
you can tell
McFarlane
when
knew
there's,
DC was going to be losing it. No, he
yeah,
had no idea. It was just pulled out underneath him.
or maybe the bid was honest. That specifically, it might have just been a bid. Like you both want to
Yeah.
buy a house, you spend $100 and the other person bid a 120, and they get the house because they bid 120 and you bid only 100. What are you gonna do? It's very Price is
Yeah.
Right-ish. But it's kind of where we are too. You look, there's and I have no basis to say this, so I'm not even saying it. I'm just like throwing it out there. There's been some bad reports, and I'm not reporting this. I'm not even. We're not even doing news today, so that has nothing to do with anything. But my point is, there's like rumors that what do you call it, Mattel and McFarlane want to leave Rhode Island. They want to shut down their factories there completely, or they want to move it to a state where they can get better tax revenues or tax returns or something like that.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
and as any business, you know what I mean. So I mean, I don't know how Super Sevens, if you want to look at it, how Super Seven's going to do, because Super Seven's in California. I mean, even their stores in California, that's a
Mm.
whole nother bag of worms there. But that's kind of where I stand on it, buddy. Anything
Yeah.
else you got to say on that topic, or because it's
No,
a
I
big
think I said what I. It is a big topic, and I we can go on for hours like that, but I don't want to because we have a few other topics to talk about. So
yeah, yeah.
yeah, maybe we can make a whole video about it someday.
Uh, that'll be that'll be something.
that would
That's
have that would have that would have to be a whole live stream situation for that one, just from start to
oh yeah.
finish.
Oh, we should do that. Like when we're like super popular, where we have like the phone number to like Pixel Dan and like the Secret Galaxy guy, and then we have everybody from the
Right.
industry like chime in. Make that the series finale, of Cowabunga Ranger Talk. We can't come back from this one.
Right.
But
Right.
uh, since that was your first topic, let's go into one of mine, I guess. And we were kind of talking about like a little bit of it, but I wanted to save it for this specific episode, and it's video games. Okay, kind of just want to
Okay.
touch base on video games. So I'm going to ask you a couple questions on this specific topic because you're a lot more connected to it than me. Okay,
Yeah.
you are. I've been out of the video game thing since like PlayStation 3. So where's Nintendo at right now?
Okay. This is a good topic. So this is
Yeah,
a
yeah.
actually a
This is
topic right
fun.
now that's actually big in YouTube. So Nintendo's in a spot that's very interesting because they have the Switch 2 coming out, and it has a price tag. Well, there's two different ways you can buy it. There's a price tag of 450, That's just the console
That
alone.
yeah, that I did
No
see.
game, no nothing. And then there's one that's $500 that has the new Mario Kart World game on it. Um, People are really complaining about the game prices, honestly, because the games go for like $80 at the moment.
Yeah,
Mario Kart World does by itself,
art game. Yeah,
and people are really complaining. Like I watched the Treehouse live, and people like bring down the price, drop the price, drop the price, and they're not talking about the console. They're just talking about the video games. Um, Personally, yes, I agree. The prices are too high on video games, especially at this point in time. Mario Kart World, there's nothing that I have seen so far that is special about it. Now, there's a Nintendo Direct coming on April 17th just for the Mario Kart World, showing why it's worth $80.
yeah,
Personally, I don't think any video game is worth $80. $70 is pushing it, but I did buy one that was $70 for the original Switch. But I think $80 is pushing it. And again, at one point, the Nintendo Switch 2 had a rumor that it was going to be like $900 because of in again we're going to go back to inflation and tariffs and all that. But when it got paused, the tariffs got paused. It went straight to it's still going to be $500 for the bundle, $450 for the standard non Switch 2 with nothing with it. Um, Keeping this really short as much as I can. The biggest controversy is the packing game. Um, that's I just lost the name of it. Well, Welcome Tour. There it is. Welcome Tour. Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour. It's a tech game, and when I first saw it, I was like, "Holy crap! This is really cool. I want it. I love tech. I love taking things apart and putting them back together." But this way you don't have to because it shows you all the ins and outs of the controllers and how things work and how the system works itself. It shows you the difference between 4K pixelation to the original NES and how it would look today if you had it in the standard 512 pixelated NES on a 4K TV. In this case, they do it on the screen, and it's literally like that big, going da 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 da, and it doesn't. You don't scroll. It just keeps building. You can see the beginning of the level to the very end of the level on one screen because you had that many pixels to go through. Um, but yeah, that's like the biggest controversy is the $80 video games and the $10 tech demo you have to buy separately instead of having the packing game being
yeah.
yeah, so the two big things with Nintendo Switch.
Yeah. So, well, what I just overheard, as a loose thing was that, yeah, the game system was going to be like 450, but they were putting
Hmm.
450 because they had already had like they had they had information that the tariffs thing was going to happen, so they like bumped up the price just in case type thing. So that was an inflated number, but that's kind of becoming the regular price, if you will, just because it is what it is.
Yeah.
Now, now I it's interesting because it's up there. Sure, 450 for a console is up there for any system, but like if you think about it, it's not bad. I think if I was actually collecting Nintendo, then I'd have to start dissecting what does the system do. You know what I mean? But if it's just a very like simple upgrade type thing, and the graphics look pretty simple to the Switch One, or you know what I mean, like it doesn't play Blu-ray, or like most of the things are like online. The Nintendo Store locked or whatever, or there's
Yeah.
issues like that. I'd have to look at it more because I mean the
Okay.
PlayStation 5
Well, let
right
me
now is
break it down. Yeah.
four fifty.
Let me break it down to
What's in
you.
it? You know what I mean? What's
Yeah,
the 450
450.
for?
Okay, so the Nintendo Switch 2 is really highly upgraded, actually, when it comes down to the dock mode. So it's actually a 4K resolution at 120 frames per second. So you're getting a really high refresh rate. 120 frames per second is basically what most of the consoles do now. PlayStation 5, Xbox, whatever the heck they're on now.
Yeah,
Uh, Xbox X, I think it is. But anyways, so 120 frames or 120 refresh frames is really high end. Again, it's 4K output. Dock mode is 1080p handheld mode. when you're playing this on hand. It's backwards compatible with Switch 2 or Switch 1 games, so you got that option there. It's not 100% backwards compatible, I guess. I guess it has some flaws, but that can be fixed with updates, like every console does. Um, they're adding some new stuff to the online service. It's a lot. It's a bigger screen. The Joy Cons are actually bigger now, so you can actually hold them. They have little they do mouse controls, so you can actually put them on the table and use them like a mouse and
Mhm.
like a keyboard mouse, like an actual computer mouse. And there's games that use that function as well. There's also going to be uh, that those are the basic ones that most people look at is frame rate, uh, resolution. Is the I think it's kind of stupid. And there's upgrades to the games you already own. Like if you own the Zelda games, you can spend an extra $10 and get different upgrades for it to make it visually look better and have some extra stuff with the game that you can do. Personally, like I said on my channel when I talk about the Switch 2, is I'm not going to be able to afford it this year. Maybe if I get lucky during Christmas, maybe, but most likely it's going to be next year before I can actually have one in hand, unless somehow somebody goes, you know what, we bought this for you because we know you like it and we want you to have it on your channel. But no one's going to do that. No one's going to be that nice because that's $500 or $450. But if someone did, I'd be, I'll be great.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, that's pretty much the Nintendo part of it. There's not really much for Xbox. I know PlayStation's trying to get into the handheld side as well. Uh, there's a few shorts out there that's jokes where you see an Xbox talking to the old Nintendo Switch, and the new Nintendo Switch is telling them what's going on, and the uh, at the end the Xbox is like, so what is everybody doing handhelds now? Because PlayStation's doing it. Nintendo's been doing it for over 10 years plus, with their consoles now. It's been at least I think it was like 8 years ago Switch came out. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
That's a one of the most
Well, from what
yeah.
I remember, was the Switch basically like the Game Boy killer or the DS killer? Because that was
Uh
the mobile one, right? Like PlayStation.
yeah, so
Because I see people you can play it on the
yes.
street, you can walk around with it. Or
Mhm.
it
Yeah,
basically killed the.
so what happened was Nintendo killed their own handheld system on purpose. Then it was the 3DS. I still have mine. I love that thing actually still. It has some of the greatest games on there. Plus I homebrewed it, so others I jailbroke it or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, so the concept was we can have you play this at home. You can play it anywhere you want. If you need to go online to play with people online, all you need is a Wi-Fi certain connection. You can go like McDonald's or Safeway or some place that has the library if you wanted to. If you're out, like let's say in Massachusetts, and you want to play, I don't know, they had Fortnite on this. Let's go with Fortnite. But your hotel room for some odd reason didn't have Wi-Fi, but down the street was a library that had Wi-Fi. You could just walk down there, put your Wi-Fi on, and play. You know,
Yeah.
um, yeah, it's a great system. The Switch is a great system, still is. The Switch 2, well, we'll see. I hear really good things about it, but I hear a lot of people complain about, like I said, the price. But I think I'm pretty much over the pricing because when I went to Walmart, oh God, what was it, 3 weeks ago now? Because I haven't even made the video about it because it just kind of everything came up with the Nintendo Switch so fast that it was just kind of like I pushed it to the side. Uh, but I saw the PlayStation that was $499 without the disc drive, without the disc drive. And I'm like, that's crazy. And then I saw the disc drive that's like $79, so like $80. And then myself, so you have to spend if you want that added disc drive because you can connect them. You have to spend $580 plus whatever the taxes and fees are. Just for a PlayStation
PlayStation
5 with a disc drive.
PlayStation 5.
And it's not even the Pro. Yeah, it's not even the Pro.
Yeah.
It's just standard. I'm
Stuff,
just like, you're
yeah.
kidding me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, that goes kind of go back to the Nintendo thing about the 450 because I think the PlayStation's kind of held its price, right? The PlayStation's 5, I think it launched at what, like 700, and it's like at 600 right now, so it's like more or less only lost about
Yeah.
$100. And it's been around for like
Yeah.
what,
And
4 or 5 years. The 5.
yeah, and that's common thing with video game consoles, though. They'll launch them at a certain price, and sooner or later they'll realize, well,
Yeah.
we're not losing money, but it's just not going. People ain't buying them. Why? Because they're too expensive. So we're gonna drop it $50, $100, or during a Christmas sale, we're gonna drop it to this, or we're gonna keep it the same price, but add this and this to it for you for free. Um, yeah, and then I would
Yeah.
bring up the value in people's minds. If you give more stuff, it's worth more, right? No, it's just you get lucky because you have that holiday season.
Well, I mean, you walk into GameStop or anywhere, well, specifically GameStop because they're kind of like the only one left as far as like you
Yeah.
know big box places. And what is it? Most like at least half of the store is bullshit. And I'm sorry to even say it like that, but like it's a lot of garbage, like tchotchke stuff. Like, oh, here's a shirt of Super Mario. Why are you selling a shirt of Super
Hmm.
Mario when you should be selling the video game of Super Mario? Isn't this a GameStop,
Yeah.
not a shirt stop? If this was Hot Topic, fine, all day. Let's go with the Mario shirt, or let's go with the Sonic, whatever, or whatever character you want. I get that, but like, or they have like these, and maybe it's like this generation has changed so much because this generation has a lot of female game players now, right? Because a lot of girls play video games now, so they like the those little
The
tchotchke things, those
plushies and
little furry bally looking things. Yeah,
hmm
those collectory little
yeah.
things. Or like, oh no, this is a cutesy wootsy from some anime or something like so. I get that, and maybe it sells enough to like warrant that much space, but like really, like, you go into GameStop and it doesn't make any sense. Like this used to be a place
No.
for games. Like you've seen GameStop lately, right? What they have like keyboards, they have old systems, they have new systems, they have T-shirts, they have those furry pillows with anime characters. They have action
Hmm.
figures that you can buy Transformers Legacy toys right now.
The,
They
yeah.
One of the walls has like board games. You see this shit? Sorry to curse, but I saw they were selling a Risk game at GameStop. What?
Yeah.
Risk? Monopoly? What are
Hmm.
we doing, bro? I get it. Like, do what you got to do to stay in business, but I mean, what business is this then?
You
Like,
know,
I don't understand it just from an aesthetic perspective. I don't know.
I'm gonna give you. Well, I'm gonna give the audience an idea how old I am with the GameStop situation. When I remember GameStop coming into one of the bigger cities where I lived,
Yeah,
and it was just that. It was video games to the
yeah,
point where there was a bin, a physical bin that had like the Sega Genesis and the original Nintendo, where you had them for like a few dollars. Oh, I don't have this one because why? It used to be $50, and now we have a PlayStation. I think it was PlayStation One at the time,
yeah.
but I can get it for $2. Cool. I just love my Nintendo. A lot of people didn't back then because they've been upgraded to you know bigger and better things.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean that was the time period I remember. When GameStop was booming, is when you could trade in your old games for a good amount of money to actually get one or two games, and also knowing that I still play retro games. There they are right in front of you. Not like today where you go into a GameStop and they're behind a glass case, or
Yeah,
if you're even lucky, some GameStops don't even have that. Some GameStops are like, "Oh, we don't have that, but you can go online for it." Yeah, and you go online, they're like expensive. It's like, why am I going to spend that much money on a video game? Again, it's one of those. That's
yeah.
one of my pet peeves.
Funko
It's like
Pops.
everything.
That's another thing they try to sell. That's another wall of figures, Star Wars Funko Pops
Mm-hmm.
that nobody's buying. I don't know. Maybe honestly, bro, like I and this isn't even like I said. This isn't like picking on GameStop or anything. We're just talking because they're the last ones. Because there's no electronic boutique here. I mean, there's electronic boutique, but in Canada, but it's basically the same thing as GameStop. So
Yeah.
it's like the Toys R Us Target thing. Like, oh, in Canada we have Toys, but here we have Target type thing. But I don't. Like you walk in there and like people are way too relaxed, and this isn't like an old man screaming at the sky or when I'm back in my day, but really, you're way too relaxed. You can't tell the difference between me and the employee. Like they don't need. I
Yeah.
remember when GameStop, when you used to walk in and there was somebody that worked there that had a shirt that says GameStop. Why are you not even enforcing that? You're not. It's not even a dress up shirt. Like it's a polo. Like it's a
No.
regular T-shirt that says GameStop. You literally
Yeah.
can't figure out. They're way too relaxed for a company that's like always on the verge of dying. They're way too relaxed, and I
Yeah.
get it because they wanted to do the 2010 thing of being cool, like Starbucks, like, oh, we don't have to wear the Starbucks shirt anymore. Or, yeah, I get the we're relaxed, like McDonald's did the remodeling thing, so they want to make it look like a Starbucks.
Hmm.
So they got rid of like the ball pits, and they got rid of like even some of the parking just to make it look more cafe-ish,
Yeah.
for McDonald's. Burger King is doing the same thing. You go to a lot of these
Oh
burgers,
yeah, I
they're
know. We
doing,
have one that just got remodeled. Yeah.
yeah, they're trying to look more
Yeah.
cafe-ish. I thought you sold burgers, bro. Like, I thought you sold burgers.
No, they do. They do.
Like, back in my day,
Yeah.
GameStops had games. Like,
Right.
what?
No, I mean, GameStop has been said. Oh, we're gonna go under. People are like, oh, they're gonna go under real fast. Blah, blah, blah. That was like
Oh yeah,
5 years ago. They're still here.
yeah. They've
Oh,
gone from
GameStop's going
membership
under
like three
this
times.
year. No. Yeah.
They're still
They've
here.
closed down stores, but so has Best Buy, so has Target, so has Walmart. Walmart's closing stores this year too, and it's just like,
Plus,
okay, I'm not
really,
gonna say they're gonna go on. I'm not gonna go under. They're not going under. They're just closing a few stores because they're not making as much profit as they want. And again, that's business.
yeah,
If a company has 5 million stores and only 2 million of them are making high end profit, why keep all five? You're losing profit that way. You close those three that ain't making them enough. Um, yeah, it's simple business math. You want to make profit, you don't want to lose profit, so why have something open that's going to cost you money? Um, that's anything though for business. I mean, if I was selling uh, an emulation box, I thought I actually about doing, and it's not making me any money, why would I keep it on eBay or keep it on Facebook Marketplace up and running if no one's buying it? This might be costing me a fee or something to list something.
yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. It's just business. I don't think GameStop's going anywhere anytime soon, because they keep changing with the times. Like you were saying, they have everything. They even had Lightning Collection there for a while. I've seen NECA in there. The one I
Yeah.
have. The funny thing is, they have some of the demo
Project
stuff. They
yeah,
don't.
games.
Yeah, they have some of the demo stuff. Like the
Yeah,
demos
W.
consoles. They're never on. They're never on. So you have like a nice looking screen with like an Xbox X or a PlayStation 5 there, but they're never on because they don't get enough business, physical business, but online business. And again, that's somewhere we're going to be going very soon too, is online businesses, because a lot of these businesses now, even the one I work for, it's buy online, get it shipped to your house. Buy online, come pick it up at the
The
store.
retail
You know, it,
dead thing.
yeah. So GameStop's going to be that way soon. Best Buy will be that way. I'm not saying like next 6 months, maybe like 4 to 5 years. Sooner or later, you will have employees working for you, but they're not working for you in the same sense.
Yeah, yeah. You want to know something crazy? The other day I was at GameStop. You know what I bought? You're never gonna guess. You want to take a guess? You're never gonna guess what I bought at GameStop the other
Um,
day.
uh, a keychain. I don't know.
A Yoo-hoo.
I use
I
who?
bought a Yoo-hoo at GameStop.
You bought ink?
Yoo-hoo,
Okay.
baby. Yeah, Yoo-hoo. I bought a
Okay.
Yoo-hoo drink at GameStop. I was like, let me go in there.
My
Like,
GameStop doesn't have that.
yeah, they
My
got a
GameStop
drink
doesn't have.
there. They sell Coke and Pepsi and or whatever. Yoo-hoo, some
Wow.
drinks, Red Bull,
I
Liquid
haven't
Death.
had that in.
They sell. Yeah, I was like,
Yeah, I haven't had
I
a
went in
YooHoo in
there.
a long
Yeah,
time.
but that's what you go into
Yeah.
GameStop to buy a Yoo-hoo. That's where we are as an industry. Kind
Right.
of glad I got out when I got out, bro. Like, what was interesting me, and we
You
talked about
know.
it a little bit though. Um,
Yeah.
remember we were talking about like one thing that might get me into like gaming would be like retro gaming, kind of like sticking with the topic. And I was looking forward to that N64, the master pack or whatever you want to call it, the one that had all of the N64 games, or at least the player's choice ones, all in one
Oh
box.
yeah.
Yeah, that I haven't heard anything about that. Maybe that was canceled by Nintendo now. I don't know. It's been pretty radio silent for a few months now.
It's very possible. Nintendo has a very tight squeeze on their IPs. So if
Yeah.
someone's you okay, so here's the way you get around that, and don't take my word for it, and don't listen to me, and don't do this. But if you're gonna sell something that has Nintendo products in it, even if it's just emulation of the games, don't
Hmm.
list it. Don't list it as an emulation to play retro N64 games or Super Nintendo, or even don't even list it as a PlayStation or Xbox. Just list it as an emulation console, and it has, let's say, 10,000 games with it, and you might be able to list off something like Pac-Man and Contra or something, something that people know but don't actually. The people don't care about that license anymore. You say Pac-Man, and everybody knows who Pac-Man is, but if
Yeah.
you say I have Super Mario Bros. Or Super Mario Bros. On here, you're gonna get some kind of like Nintendo Ninja up your butt. They find out real fast. I mean, there's people that create, uh, recreate games on Nintendos and get, cease and just stop, or we're gonna sue you.
Yeah. Cease and
Even
desist.
because, yeah, because they're putting them out there online for people to try. They're not selling it, but they're just, here, try to see what you think. I made a real engine, and yeah, Nintendo will stop it. And I think it's interesting because if I was a company like Nintendo, yeah, I could see the reason to, take it down, sure. But at that point, I mean, you're like, hey, do you want to get a job? Because we have a job that would be perfect for you, or even do that. You could be like, you can take this down, or you can come work for us, and then we'll talk about this one that we can reproduce for our own console. You can keep working on it for the next console or the console we have.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And the funny thing is, you actually brought up the topic that I was going to bring up next was the Nintendo Switch 2. So that kind of went both ways real fast.
Yeah.
But yeah, when it comes to retro video games, there's a lot going on. Like Analog just brought out the Analog 3D, and again, there you go again. It's not called the N64; it's called the Analog 3D. It plays all the original N64 cartridges, can hook up the original controllers to it, but it's 4K output. Uh, it's this amazing console, but I wouldn't. Again, that's a console that's overpriced for the average day person, and that's what Analog does. Analog's always been that way. They have the highest quality outputs for the games. I mean, they even made I believe it was 4K original NES, and it's just too damn expensive. So you have to have some good money behind you to buy them.
Yeah.
But there's other ways you can play those games too, as you know.
Oh. Oh yeah. Uh, so I heard this rumor. Maybe since we're talking about the Switch 2 now, kind of moving into that. Is it true that like there's no games actually? It's like it's just a downloadable code in the box, and it opens
Okay.
up to the Nintendo Store and whatever. Because I heard that and like I thought they were already messed up with like giving those SD cards as your cartridges, but I guess it worked.
Have you
Because
ever
the Switch
have you ever
costs like
seen one of those cartridges?
yeah, yeah, they look like an SD
Have
card for
you
a camera
ever?
for a
Yeah,
DSLR or something. Yeah, I see them.
yeah. It's yeah. Well, they are made. The original ones were made by SanDisk. The original cartridge was. But what you're talking about though is you're talking about the cards that you buy that have the ID of the game built into it, and you download it. Well, that's not 100% right. Uh, Only a few of them have that. There's a lot of games that are 100% on the cartridge, but there are a few games that you would buy and they're just the code. Not it's not even a code. It's like the address for a game. If that makes any sense. So it's like if you put a game into it, it tells the system, well, it's the address of this game because each cartridge is going to be different address by like a number or something. That's why when people try to emulate certain games or back up their games, and someone else try to use that game on their system, and the game is being used on another system of the Switch, this was crazy. So if somebody's using the same cartridge at the same time, because once somebody cloned it, right? And you're online, it has to be online. Nintendo could find out that, oh, it's the same code, same address. Well, we're gonna shut down both switches. They won't physically shut down, but they'll disconnect you from the internet, and you have to prove that you have the original cartridge. Yeah, that's kind of crazy. Um, but no, the one that you're talking about is basically a digital code, but it's not because you can actually take that physical cartridge and give it to your friend to use, and they will download the game to their Switch. But without that cartridge, it will not turn on. So if you give it to your friend, they can play the game. But if you have the cartridge in your hand, your friend won't be able to play that game anymore because he doesn't have the physical cartridge. So it's a they call it the key. It's a key card
So what are they
basically.
gonna sell you in the
Uh,
pay $90 right now for a game, a Switch 2 game? What's it?
so like
What do you get
so
for
like
it?
Mario Kart 8. Yeah, so like Mario Kart World is a full functional game. It's a whole game on the cartridge. Cyberpunk, what is it? Cyberpunk 2027, I think it is called.
Yeah.
It's a 60 gigabyte card, and it's the whole game's on there. So it just depends on the game. It depends on the company and the game. I think Nintendo's first party games are going to be all on the disc or the cartridge itself. It's going to be the third party games that are going to be, we don't want to spend, an arm and a leg on a cartridge to put the whole game on there. Because some people say, and I heard this today and I thought it was kind of interesting, Nintendo has cartridges that are 120 gigabytes, just the cartridge
Mm.
itself. And that's a lot of data for a video game. I think that's just the same size as maybe a little bit bigger than the CDs that you get now for like Xbox and PlayStation that you are. Well, okay, so there's a good example. When you get an Xbox game or a PlayStation game, you put the disc in the system and it says downloading. So theoretically, it's the same idea as these key cards. You put the
Yeah.
game in, it downloads the game, not the whole game, but most of the game. And I remember this with the Xbox One because the Xbox One did it too, and it really irritated me. It was the first system I ever played that had it. You put it in, oh, downloading game, 5 gigabytes. It's like I just wanted to play the game, and I didn't want it to be downloaded. I just wanted to put the disc in and play it. PlayStation does the same thing, so they're all key cards pretty much because you can give that disc to GameStop and they can resell it and they can put it in another Xbox and it'll be fine. Same idea, but it's a
Okay.
cartridge instead of a CD.
But other games, they're
Yeah.
gonna be like kind of code based. Like they'll have half of the game in there, and then the other half you have to download. Kind of like they do with some of the PlayStation VR games. You know, like oh, we have four of the levels on the game, and then you have to download the rest. Kind of like that. Is that
It's
like for third parties like EA or Konami or whoever's making it besides
it's
the
it's always a yeah, it's a possibility. They haven't really been clear. Nintendo hasn't been really all that clear on how their systems cartridges are going to work with that key code or key cartridge as they call it. But either way, that was the other thing. The systems has a lot of memory built into it. Probably speaking to the other one, but yeah, it's people are getting confused about everything about how the cartridges. Some cartridges have the full game, some of them don't. Some of them, but Nintendo has already done this for years, where you can go out and buy a physical copy. This is the most stupidest thing, a physical copy of Fortnite, you know, but so has PlayStation and Xbox. But all it is a code inside, literally a physical paper code that you can. But you have a case that has a picture of the Fortnite, season 6, season 7, six, but it's just ridiculous because you can always download those for free online without having a case. But I guess if you're a collector of visual cases or collector of physical media, this is their chance of going. You can have a case for this code that you use once, but keep it in the box, and it's a collector's item at that point. I guess I disagree with it, but um, yeah.
Yeah, that's something. So, anything else you want to cover on the Switch too, or you ready to move on?
I don't really have much information besides what I basically told you because
Yeah.
it's still new. It hasn't even come out. It's coming out June 5th. I know that much. Actually come out in hand June 5th. And the pre orders hadn't even launched yet because of the stupid tariffs, making them, kind of. It was supposed to be pre ordered April 7th, April 9th, but you can't do it because of the tariffs. So they haven't even released a pre order date for America and Canada yet. But places like Australia, you can pre order. The UK can pre order already, but it's kind of a weird situation. It's all because of Donald Trump. But I didn't say that.
So my next is X-Men. I want to talk a little about the reboot for X Men '97. Have you seen it?
I have not got to see that yet. No, I want to though. I love the old
It's
X Men
very good.
'97 show.
It's very good. I've seen about half of it. I still have the rest to see, and it's good, but I think it's like varying a little too much because like one of the highlights of the original. You remember the original show, right?
Oh
The
yeah,
original.
I love that
Okay,
show.
the original show, like one of its highlights was like it was like soap opera for kids, right? So like it
Yeah,
was very like, oh, your mother is Mystique, my dad is Nightcrawler, your sister is Rogue type. Oh no, I want to be with Gambit, but I don't. The Wolverine,
you want to
Cyclops.
be with Wolverine? Yeah,
Yeah, like all that. I love. It's very soap opera ish. It's very novela based. But I think the magic there was they told a compelling story without dumbing it down, but at the same time they didn't try to be so like modern, if you will. Like the
yeah,
X-Men 7, which is I guess what season 6 technically in the continuity because it's a straight, you know, continuation of the original show that had about 5 seasons. So you do that, and I think they're trying a little too hard to be like modern. Like, oh no, this is what this generation wants, or this is what that generation wants.
no,
And
that's
I
not the
don't
point
know,
of it.
I really don't because it kind of like murks what X-Men is. I mean, maybe I'm
Yeah,
totally wrong here, but like you're trying to be too like modernized when you should just live in your own world instead of trying to be in the world. I mean, this is fantasy anyways. If you want to live in the real world, watch news or go out there and see what the world is. I think entertainment should be more entertainment based. I think they're. I hate to even say it, but sort of pandering to a specific audience, and I don't have a problem with talking to an audience, but that wasn't the audience you established to begin with. If you
no,
like if you want to make a cooking show, okay, let's make a cooking show. But then all of a sudden you can't start talking about, how to fix a toilet. No, you're making a cooking show. You should stick to what
yeah,
you want to talk about the ball and socket. No, bro, I'm here to learn how to boil rice or whatever it is. Like, you should stick more to your thing. I think they're they're not really sticking to. I mean, it's not a bad show. Like I said, it's a fun show. The 97 is good. The designs are good. The voice actors are good. Like everything is like it's on the money. You know what I mean? Like it's hitting its marks, but some of the things can be a little patronizing. Like okay,
yeah.
on another example, a show that I used to love, as a kid. I mean, this was and I don't think I've even talked about this, but I was into Adult Swim, and there was a show called Harvey Birdman. You remember Harvey Birdman?
I
Like
remember that. Yes, I do.
Harvey Birdman is one of the most intelligent shows for cartoon creators or for animator fans ever, because it's basically Harvey Birdman defending everybody from Hanna Barbera. Like
Yeah.
Every episode they defend the different, like it's Corso, whatever, Mentok, the Mind Taker, and Phil Can Seven, and all of these things. It was, oh my god, one of the greatest shows, and I know it took them like. I think it took them like 20 years to do like 4 seasons because they would take like 7 year breaks in between.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, you could actually Google this, so you can see how long their season gaps are. They're horrible with that, but point being, that was a great show. That was a great thing, and you figure if you do a spin off or you do something else inside of that world, it's gonna be just as fun or similar to it, right? Or like you're playing in that world
Yeah.
of Harvey Birdman, and then forget. Like 3 years ago, they came out with this thing called Bird Girl. It's on HBO Max, and no, bro, that is the
No.
most
No good.
pandering show I've ever seen. I don't mind pandering, but this is like ridiculous. Like, come on, bro. I this show used to be so clever. This show used to be so smart. This like it was just funny too. Like forget the pandering for a second. Forget everything. Your writers can't be the same writers unless they're being like pigeonholed into like, oh, write for this specific crew and write for this specific audience or whatever. But it used to be funny. This
Yeah.
used to be funny. Like it's not funny anymore. It's just Bird Girl or like, I don't think the case or like, but she was a lot more of a likable character inside of the Harvey Birdman TV show. In her own TV show,
Yeah.
she's pandering to a specific audience, and it's not funny. And that's the worst thing I think can happen when you stop being what you should be. You know, like I was saying about the X Men, the original X Men continuity, the first 5 seasons in the '90s, they were so great. And
Yeah.
now this one's good too. It's not bad. Like I said, it's not bad, but it does patronize. But it's nowhere near as bad as Bird Girl. Bird Girl is one of the worst offenses as far as like it's almost like their writing style, and it's like yelling at you to you need to like this, you need to like that, you need to like all right, bro, all right.
Yeah.
That's I, I almost feel the yelling coming at me on the screen, and this is a cartoon. So I don't know. Maybe I don't know the backstage politics of why things are or whatever because I don't know everything. But
Yeah.
like as a TV
Well,
show, I don't like that. One of the worst things.
I know there was talks if the X Men show was good enough, they were gonna try to get their hands on the Spider Man. I think it's '98 when Spider
Mhm.
Man came out, the one that I loved because it was just like the Batman show back in the day was really dark. And of course, they don't make Batman that way anymore with cartoons. But they were gonna do the Spider Man, bring back Spider Man because it would when Spider Man ended, it didn't really end. Uh, the reason I watched an interview with the guy that did Spider Man, and he said that he wanted to do a few things with Spider Man that the people like, nope, you can't do that. It's not a kid like, and it was more kind of adult like. I could see them bringing back that Spider Man, redoing it more of the adult style. Uh, but what you've been saying with the '97, it does concern me a little bit because that would not be. It would still be Spider Man. It would be drawn correctly. It would still have that probably that really cool intro with the half
Aesthetically, it'll look
CGI,
like it.
half
Yeah,
that half CGI, half drawn factor. And by the way, I showed my older son that he goes, "That's not CGI." I said, "No, I don't think that was CGI back in the day. It was just how fast they did the frame rate." Um, but anyways, yeah, I would love to see that Spider-Man show come back. But again, they would probably mess with it a little bit for today's generation, and it's not supposed to be for today's generation. It's supposed to be for the fans of '97, the fans of '98. Spider-Man,
yeah,
and
or whatever. Yeah, the Spider-Man one.
yeah, but
Yeah, that's a fair
again, they're
concern.
kind of ruining that the way you're talking, not like ruining the whole show, but ruining the concept of you know,
Yeah,
here's
where
what
you're going,
X Men '97
where
was,
you
but
were.
now we're gonna kind of go left on it. Yeah. Now,
Yeah.
my question is, did they pick up where they ended? Like, if they
What,
had, I
with
don't
the
remember
X Men
what episode it was.
or with the
Yeah.
Spider? Which one are you
No,
talking about?
X Men.
Oh yeah, they pick up
Like,
right,
you know,
right,
and
right,
and
right after like. because the ending of the original X Men show, X Men the animated series, that was produced by Saban, by the way. I just found this out.
Yeah.
Uh, it ends with Professor X being sick and being taken to space by the Shi'ar, and Magneto decides not to declare war, so he just comes into the mansion and says, "I'll lead the X Men," and that's where the show ends. And now the '97 show picks up pretty much like 10 days later, basically. But yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's very. But their introduction of the characters is different. So they introduce characters like two at a time or one at a time, or getting the new people in there. Kind of like, did you ever see the show Arrested Development?
A long time
With
ago, but yeah.
yeah, did you see the seasons that they did for Netflix? Where the first
No.
season they couldn't get everybody all together, so they had to have like one specific character episode. Like, oh, this is the David Cross episode. This is the Jason Bateman. They're kind of doing like that to try to introduce new characters. To like, we only got this person for so much time, so we have to spread them out, type thing. But,
Hmm.
yeah, kind of like wrapping up the whole thing there with the Spider-Man idea. I am not sure where the Spider-Man show ended because I remember seeing the last episode, but I think chronologically this might be like an IMDb issue or maybe it was just a release issue because I thought the show ended on a cliffhanger because the original
It did.
yeah, there was like Spider-Man was fighting Hydro Man or something, and he saves Mary Jane, and Mary Jane ends up being a clone, but he like holds
Mm.
her and he's like, "Don't worry, we're gonna find the real Mary Jane." And then like, Madam Web opens a portal and she's
Hmm.
like, "Oh, you've only just begun to fight," and that's kind of where the show ends. So you
Yeah, it
don't.
was something. Yeah,
So
it's been a
that
while since I've seen it, but yeah, and even the
it again. Yeah, that's kind of the
even
vague
the
of where I
yeah,
think it goes.
even the writer, he said he never got to end the show properly, so it's open ended. You know, and I always love shows that are open ended. But even as a kid, I remember watching it thinking, okay, so what's next, and it never came
Yeah,
back
do they
on.
ever find
The
Mary Jane
reruns
and switch
happened,
to
but it never
Spider?
came.
Happened to Mary
Yeah,
Jane?
so yeah,
That show
I
was
love
good
that
though.
show.
I think the crowning achievement for that show was the and I saw this when I was a teenager because they ended up releasing this stuff on the first releases for like DVDs were like they would have like 4 episodes in a disc and they
Hmm.
did the Spider Man but the Venom Chronicles or whatever the Venom
Chronicles, yeah.
yeah it was like the 5 episodes of Venom on one disc on one DVD and I saw that and I was like wow this is really good storytelling. You're really
Hmm.
like nailing what Spider Man is.
Yeah.
I like that show too. There was another Spider Man since that was going to be my next thing. My next topic was going to be Spider Man, so that's kind of a perfect segue. There was the Amazing Spider Man, which was a 2000s show, but
Yeah.
it lasted about a season. I thought it was very good. Like, it was like easy to run
Oh,
through.
the
Yeah.
CGI one. Was that the CGI one?
No, no, this isn't. No, this isn't
Oh,
the MTV one. This is the I think this is like the Disney one, but the first ever Disney one. When they had just bought the
okay.
license in, and this was the show where all of the characters were introduced sort of Ninja Turtle-y. Like, oh, this is the Spider, the Doc Ock episode. Here's the Venom episode, and like, oh, he mutates into this. He mutates into that. I mean, there's mutation in Spider-Man, but you know, like it's very
Oh
formulaic, and
yeah.
that's the one I'm talking. I thought that was a very good one. I didn't like that Spider-Man like 2030 or whatever the future Spider-Man, the one that did right after this one, the original, the animated series Spider-Man. I
Hmm.
just couldn't get into it. I couldn't get into the other one, the MTV one. That one's the CGI one, the one that had all of the cell, graphics that they would like
Yeah.
move, and there's like black
I
here, and then there's like a gray shadow there, and like yeah, I couldn't get into
yeah.
that.
They didn't. That one didn't last. That one didn't last long either, and um, the storyline was too slow. Like for Spider-Man, that storyline was way too slow. I remember because I actually had a DVD. Someone gave me a DVD of it, and I watched it. I was like, man, this thing is slow as hell. I think it had like the first 4 episodes. I think maybe that's the whole thing it was. I think maybe MTV only made 4 episodes because it just was like not viewed very well. Um, but yeah, I remember that one too.
Yeah. Did you like since we're talking Spider Man? Did you like the Andrew Garfield movies? Or you didn't see them?
Andrew Garfield.
That was
Yeah.
the one after Toby.
Which Spider Man is he?
That's the Spider Man after Toby. That would be Spider Man. Like if you want to count them, that would be Spider Man 4 and 5. Because then
Oh, I've seen.
Tom is
I
technically
have
like
no.
7, 8, 9, whatever.
Yeah,
And
I have. Yes. Okay.
Wolverine.
Okay. The one where Grin dies. He's not a Mary Jane. It's Gwen.
The one with
That
Dennis
one.
Leary
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
and
So in
Gwen.
that
Gwen Stacy,
movie, yeah,
Emma Stone.
yeah. Those ones were good. I like the actually when it comes to the movies, I think all the Spider-Man movies so far are good. They're just in different universes. And that's kind of funny to think about. And they actually proved that in Spider-Man Far From Home. Uh, Mysterio, not Mysterio, the other guy, the good guy, the wizard dude. I can't think of his name now. I'm tired. But
Doctor Strange.
anyways, Peter Park, yeah, Doctor Strange. Peter Parker wanted to make everybody forget who he was because his mom died or his aunt died in this movie. Finally, after like the third movie, his aunt actually dies instead of his uncle. Uh, and of course, she said the same line that Uncle Ben would have said. But he wanted everybody to forget who he was because people were acting like he's a criminal and all that. And said he messed up the spell and the portals opened up and you got the original Doc Ock and the Green Goblin and Electro and stuff like this that you saw in the other Spider-Man movies and the original actors too that redid the roles for him. And Doc Ock, the actor that did Doc Ock, goes, "I'm too old for this. I don't even look like the age that I was when I filmed the movie." They're like, "Don't worry about the age look. We got that with makeup." And they did a fantastic job. And you got to see all three Peter Parkers, and they all talk about their storylines. Oh, my Mary Jane died because of this, or Gwen Stacy was my Mary Jane, and then I remember this thing because I thought it was funny as heck. Peter Parker, Tobey Maguire's, shoots the spider web out of his arm, and all the other ones go, "Wait, it comes out of your arm? You don't have any, web cartridges?" Goes, "What do you mean?" Because in the movie they actually proved that Tobey Maguire Spider Man is the strongest Spider Man, and it's hilarious because I guess there was used to be a debate. I understand that. Oh, which one is the strongest Spider-Man? Tobey Maguire,
Yeah,
because he doesn't have to have any web cartridges or anything like that. He's highly intelligent. It's just interesting because if you watch the movies, they're all highly intelligent, but in their different ways. But all three of them are from different universes. So here we go with the DC multiverse. Now we got the Marvel multiverse. So, yeah, so all three
yeah.
different Spider-Mans are from different universes, and when they come together, it was pretty damn cool. I liked it, and yeah, when it comes to the Gwen Stacy story when she dies, uh, man, if you haven't watched that scene, it's actually very intense, emotionally intense. You can see the difference when Spider-Man actually cracks, comparatively speaking to what he was. It was interesting to see that motion. Like you see him at one point trying to save her,
And he just
and when
yeah, I get
yeah, and as soon as his friend Harry kills her, theoretically, to a certain point, Spider-Man kind of does just, but it's a weird way, but you can tell that he cracks and is ready to kill his best friend Harry. That's being the Green Goblin instead of trying to,
that wasn't a very
help
good
him.
cop. He looked like
No, the Green
he was
Goblin.
going surf in the Aspens or something. I was like, snow surfing or something.
He had, yeah, he
Similar to
had
James
the
Franco's version. Remember James Franco's version? It was kind of like similar costumes. They weren't like so.
yeah
I mean, you're supposed to be New
he
Goblin. You
he
maybe
had
make him look different,
yeah
or make
he
him
had the
Hobgoblin.
right
Make him Hobgoblin.
Hobgoblin. Yeah, he had the right feel to the character. He just didn't look. He just looked like some kind of mad scientist with some green paint. Yeah.
Uh, you know what? I remember part three of the Toby series, and I thought that movie would have been
Hmm.
a lot better if they would have made Topher Grace Carnage instead of Venom, and they would have had like some big bulky dude play Venom. Because him playing Venom doesn't
Yeah.
work. Like it works if he's Carnage because he's like the jealous guy, and oh, Peter's getting all the breaks and whatever. That's fine. And I know some of the Flash Thompson thing, but like physically imposing, they're too similar to be a threat to one another. It should be like the big jock beating up the nerd, right? The Venom is like
Yeah.
four times the size of Spider Man. You should look like imposing threat. And this is very superhero-y thing of the super David versus Goliath. Like I have to destroy this giant monster. I have to defeat this type of
Yeah.
character type. But I thought that movie would have been so much better if they would have just done that. They just make Topher Grace Carnage somehow and had someone else play Venom, or not even do look, that movie. People hate it so much. I remember when it came out. Remember when Part Three came out of the Toby? They're
Yeah.
like, "Oh, no, Toby's dancing and what's he doing?" And like now, people have softened on it, but
Well,
I think
that's
it's
the
also
same thing
the
with the
curse of
Power
the third
Rangers.
movie.
Yeah. That's the same thing with the Power Ranger 2017 movie. People love that now. They used to hate it to death. But when it comes to the storyline behind that one, they couldn't really change much with Brock, even though Brock should have been much more beefier looking and stuff because he was a football player. Um, but yeah, Brock was Venom in the cartoon even after Black Spider-Man, he became Venom because in the cartoon, I remember the cartoon very well. They ring the bell, Venom goes crazy because he can't handle the sound, and it drips onto Brock, and Brock becomes Venom. And
Yeah,
then Carnage it becomes the person that becomes Carnage. I can't remember the guy's name, but he was in like an insane asylum. He was already crazy, so Carnage is kind of those
yeah. I can see Topher playing a
nutty
better
buff.
version, especially at that time. That would have been much better. I mean, now
Well,
I don't
that
think
would
people.
have been yeah. But the whole storyline would have had to change. Uh, the Black Spider-Man suit could have stayed. They could have made another Venom with a different actor and still had Carnage in the movie. Uh, I think the movie would have to be a little rushed though for that. They would have to go Spider-Man, Black Spider-Man. Spider-Man has an attitude issue because of Venom's, symbiont in him.
Yeah,
Somebody released the red symbiote, aka Carnage, got onto so and so in the asylum, and then Carnage. It would have to be rushed, and I don't think people would like that either. But according to everybody that I've been listening to about Spider-Man, because I do watch some stuff of that, Spider-Man 4 is supposed to be coming out. Yes, Spider-Man 4 with Tobey Maguire is supposed to be coming out soon. And I guess the
Spider-Man
concept is
Far
that
From
him
Home.
and Mary
Yeah.
Jane actually has a no, not Far From Home, an actual just another Spider-Man 4. It's actually just Spider-Man 4, so it's a continuation from Tobey Maguire, and it is Tobey
Oh,
playing Spider-Man, but him and Mary Jane actually have a kid together. I don't know how the storyline is going to go with that, but yeah, I guess they have a kid in this one. So, and that's kind of another question: is what happens when Spider-Man has a kid because he's part spider, part human? Theoretically, because the DNA of the spider is actually in him. So, it'd be kind of is. Does the kid get the power automatically? Does the kid shoot rebs? Because that'd be really messed up. Getting an angry baby.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I if you introduce a Spider-Man like a young Spider-Man, that'd be fine. But like, don't do it like a baby, like Spider, like they did with the mask, like Son of the Mask. Like, oh, this baby has the powers of the
Yeah.
mask. This baby has the powers of the. No, leave the babies alone, bro. Like, if you're gonna do like a, or I think there's probably a sidekick to Spider-Man that's like Spider Boy or something. Like make him like 13, 14-year old. That's like like a teen. So
Well,
if you want
that's something
to
I
get the teen audience,
yeah,
you get like a new teen to, and he's the one that falls in love with a Spider Gwen or whatever. And you can open that world inside of the Toby universe.
yeah.
I think that'd be interesting because it'd be
Well,
Toby playing mentor, because you can't have Robert
yeah.
Downey Jr. playing mentor in this one. So
No. So that was kind of a concept I was thinking in my head too. Was you see Mary Jane have a kid? I don't care if Mary Jane stays alive or not because I know some superhero movies. Oh, the love life has to die because of whatever reason. But you see Mary Jane has a kid, and then it goes like 10 to 12 years later, or even 15 years later, or something to make it like a there's a quick kid. 15 years later, boom, and then you could have the Spider Boy or whatever, Tobey Maguire saying something, all of a sudden Spider Web comes out of the kid's arm and be like, oh snaps, and be
yeah,
like, okay, what are we gonna do? That?
me, you
Yeah,
know what? It's funny you bring that up because it just reminded me of something else with like the whole character's pregnant. You know, they're getting the powers of the dad type thing. That I think that's what really killed the Hellboy franchise. I don't know if you know anything about the Hellboy movies, but like the original Ron Perlman,
no, I've
by
actually
they
I've
ran out
skipped
of juice.
those. I don't know
Yeah,
why.
yeah. And the second one, they were
Yeah.
like, you know, at the end they make a Selma Blair pregnant for some reason. At the end, of, oh, you're gonna have a baby, and it felt so like rushed and forced, and it felt very like Shrek 2-ish. Like we're out of storyline for these characters, so let's give them a baby. Oh, I'm a believer. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
sure you are. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
sure you are. But we could talk about Spider-Man for days. You got any last topic you want to run through, buddy, or where you at?
Well, I have one, but I really don't have too much information about it because I haven't really seen it. I don't know if you've seen it. I've just seen uh it's about the new Power Ranger documentary. You know about this documentary?
Yeah, I've seen some reviews on
It's
it.
like the
The
yeah.
dark side of
Well, some of the
the
cast members are yeah, yeah. Some of the cast members are now speaking up on it. And Walter Jones is one of them, and he's not very happy. Let's put it that way. And I haven't got a chance to see it, but what I've seen of the actors speaking up, I guess there's truth to it, but not really truth to it, if that makes sense. Like some of the stuff they say is kind of made up in the actual documentary and it's not really factual.
yeah,
So it's kind of one of those you watch it and believe what you want to believe kind of thing. So that was going to be my last subject, but again, I don't have very much information about it,
yeah.
and I know it's a
I've
big
seen
topic
people.
around the community.
Yeah, everybody's experience is different too. What else can you possibly say? Because they treated you like garbage, but they treated me great. I'm not gonna talk bad about Power Rangers, right? If I'm a Power Ranger on the show and
Yeah,
they treated me well, they paid me my money, they made my action figure, they took my pictures, they shot me in good lights, they gave me a good stunt coordinator to help me learn the fights, they gave me an acting coach to like hypothetically speaking, they hired me to be Red Ranger or whatever. If my experience is great, then my experience is great. They hire you and they don't pay you, or you're white and they put you as the white ranger and you feel insulted for some reason because why is the white ranger got to be white, like whatever reasons you start getting, or you look at my pay, you hear about my paycheck and then you look at your paycheck and you're making a third of what I'm doing, and you're the white ranger and I'm like
yeah,
the Green Ranger, but I'm one of the funny Green Rangers, like, oh, slapstick funny, and you're more of the serious character, right? And you have seen Power
yeah.
Rangers, you know they have the
Oh yeah,
those type Rangers. You you're the one that's selling the toys, and you're getting like a third of what I'm getting, but I got everything. I think it's a case by case basis with that, but
yeah. I think a documentary like that in general is kind of not necessary, especially for I mean, there's a lot of Power Rangers that have spoke up over the years about their experiences on Power Rangers, like Amy Jo Johnson almost getting electrocuted on set. I'm pretty sure she wasn't happy about that. David Yosh almost did too on the same scene actually. But again, it's not. I don't. I've never really heard anything so bad. I've heard about what happened to actors after leaving Power Rangers. Uh, but during
Yeah,
Power Rangers, I've never really heard anything bad about stories that they've told. You know, because I do know there's been interviews where they go, "Was there anything really bad about working on Power Rangers?" And you'd be like, "No, not really. I mean, everything's kind of the same thing. You get up in the morning, you do your stuff, you do it for 18, 20 hours, and you go to bed and you do it again the next day. It's called a job." You know, um,
yeah.
I do want to watch it because I love watching documentaries about my favorite stuff. But again, who knows why they made this documentary? Could they made it just to get truth out there? Did they make it just to make something that's going to make them money? You know, because talking about original Power Rangers from '93, talking to Mark Richardson even about it off air before this, it didn't sound like they did much. It sounded more like, jokes and pranks. And I've seen, outtake videos, and that's what they did. They would joke and prank about it. Like there was a video where they're just sitting in the classroom and all the putties would run in there and just start messing with them. And they're not even filming, they're just messing with them. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I said, I kind of want to see this documentary to see what they say and see how much is bunked and how much is truth. Because like I said, Walter Jones isn't very happy about it.
Well, okay. There, I could say something there. Like, it depends when this was shot, right? Like, if all of this is like interviews from like 4 or 5 years ago, and they just like finally got it together and finally got it greenlit, his opinion on Power Rangers 4 or 5 years ago is not his opinion today. So I'd
Yeah,
be, I'd look into that, especially him because he was already brought back to. I mean, they made him do the make good. I mean, they got him in Once and Always, right? They got him to be like the second lead in that
yeah,
because the lead in the movie is Billy. The second lead is Walter, and the third lead is the girl, Charlie.
Cat,
No,
Charlie.
Charlie,
Oh, Charlie. Yeah, the Yellow Ranger.
the Yellow Ranger. So
Trini's daughter. Yeah,
yeah, Charlie Kirsch. So they got him to be second lead in a movie special on Netflix. That's pretty good. That's pretty much making good as far as what else can you possibly do to him? I mean, unless you shuffle the deck and like you make Walter the Green Ranger now, and you bring back Adam to play Black Ranger one more time. Like, but that's shuffling the deck. That's not really fixing a problem.
no, yeah,
So I think it's just it might be his opinion right now. Uh, kind of sticking with that topic for a second of documentaries. Have you heard anything about the Turtle Power 2 thing? The one that's supposed to come up with like
no,
that's what I'm
no,
looking
I
for.
haven't.
The one
I haven't heard anything
that
about
looks
that
interesting.
since.
I want to see that. I don't want to like you're saying. I don't want to just hear people trashing Power Rangers for 2 hours. Like that's what YouTube's there for.
No, but yeah,
There's enough people doing that.
that
I
turtle,
don't want to hear the actual people
that
say.
turtle power one though. The turtle power one is a continuation of the one we already have.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
just
yeah,
has more stuff to it.
yeah,
And the one we have actually has a lot of stuff in it, but this one's supposed to have even more stuff that wasn't in the original one because they just couldn't, I guess, greenlit it, or they didn't have a way to make it bigger for good price range, or whatever the concept was. Or maybe Kevin Eastman at the time said no, but now they're saying yes.
yeah. They're bringing
Yeah,
out toys for it,
I do.
and that would have
Yeah,
been.
I want to see it.
Yeah,
It's supposed
I
to be
think
like
you have
6 hours long.
yeah, but you start watching something, and
Yeah,
if you're interested in it, it'll go by like that. If you're bored, it could be an hour thing, and you're like, "Oh my god, this hour's still not passed by." you know, uh,
yes, actually, I do know. Yeah,
I, it's funny to think what they're gonna cover because I think the first one covered like the first 15 years of the Turtles. So like from zero to 15, and then if this documentary is covering the next 15 years, ideally, right? Let's say it comes out this at the end of this year or next year or whatever. You still have another, what do you call it, 10 years of Ninja Turtles, because Ninja Turtles is 41. And by the time that goes into it,
Yeah,
if you start filming stuff for like Turtle Power 3 or something, because you gotta think they're gonna do a third one. Because everybody that does the second one is already thinking the third. It's just the trilogy, the trilogy, the trilogy. So you could probably do the third one and cover the like the 10 years, the 2015s up until 2025. I guess you could also cover a
yeah,
lot of more of the expansion in the toy lines, because so many other people have Ninja Turtle license and have Ninja Turtle product and things like that to grow with and you know go with. So there's enough material to make a Ninja Turtles 3. I know 2 is on already. I mean, Turtle Power 3. So there's no way that there isn't.
yeah.
No way. No way. Well, with that, my last one, and it's pretty fast actually, but I just thought it'd be interesting to kind of bring it up on the show because this is something we usually talk about. Is they're technically filming Frasier reboot season 3 right now because season 2 came out during the Christmas, so season 3 is
Yeah.
filming. Can you believe Frasier reboot is up to season 3? And I mean, unless they already finished season 3, because they do smaller episode runs now, they might be like starting pre-production into season 4. Because if you only do 10 episodes, it's different than back in the day where you got to do 26 episodes. No, you're eating 26 episodes. You're eating
Yeah.
the entire 8 months of the calendar year for production wise. So can you believe that? The show, the reboot's up to season
Yeah.
3 now or 4. Like, wow, like,
It's to me it's amazing that people
it's not
the
horrible.
actors still want to do it.
Yeah,
The actors still want to do it, so it makes it interesting. Also, what's making interesting is that everything's becoming a reboot or an add-on or an extension of what it was. Uh, it's
yeah,
it's kind of weird to think about that. No one has original ideas anymore. I mean, there's original ideas, but they're not original. If that make any sense?
I do.
You have, oh, let's make a real life Snow. You know what I mean though. Let's make a real life
Yeah,
Snow
yeah.
White. Okay, let's do it. Oh, let's reboot this, but we're gonna keep all the same actors. So it's not really a reboot; it's just a continuation. Let's reimagine this and that. Okay, well that's cool, but we've seen this 300 times, no matter what.
Yeah,
There's nothing wrong with it. I just think it's interesting that certain people want to keep going and going and going. It's like that have an end somewhere.
yeah.
Oh yeah, it's a
It's just
reboot, but you
crazy
gotta
to
have
think
it
about. Yeah.
somewhere.
I just think it's crazy because it's a one person reboot. Like nobody from the cast
Yeah.
of Frasier is in the Frasier reboot. In the Paramount Frasier, we'll call it like that so we don't get confused. In the regular Frasier, like now in season 2, they made Ross like a series regular, so she's doing like a couple more episodes than just like a one off to kind of bump up the ratings. But I don't think she's going to be a permanent cast member. I mean, maybe she is, and maybe that's the series finale for the Paramount version of Frasier, that he ends up with Roz after all of these years. Oh, you finally get the girl that was right under your nose, type of thing, which could kind of work,
Yeah.
you know. But it's like you don't. John Mahoney passed away. Daphne is not in the show. Niles, the other half of the show, like the other lead character of Frasier, is
Hmm.
not in the show, and you bring back other like secondary characters like BB, his manager that did a couple episodes. They bring her back for a couple.
Yeah.
You bring back his Lilith, his ex wife, for one episode. I mean, but still, you it seems like it needs more strength. And I know some of the actors on there are everybody's doing their best. I wouldn't call anybody phoning it in. That's a good show. It's funny, but it's like, wow, you're gonna keep going. Because by this time next year, we could be talking about Frasier season 5, and that
Yeah.
would be pretty nuts. Oh, and to kind of close out the episode, I did want to like share this little fact that I saw. Jenna Elfman from Dharma and Greg. She was on the Drew Barrymore show, and she was talking about, oh, maybe we do a reboot, maybe we don't. So there could be a
You
Dharma
know,
and
that
Greg
was
in
that was
six. That could happen.
I I enjoyed that show, and I don't even know why I enjoyed it when I was younger, but I did.
Jenna
You
Elfman,
know,
you got
yeah.
the same reason
You
you
know,
do this.
you know, you know, you know what's funny? You know what's funny about that show, and I do
Same
remember this
reason.
now that you brought that show. You brought that show up, and there's something that was really funny that just popped in my head. Now, this is a little adult like, so if you have kids, cover their ears. In the show, they talked about her hooking up with him during a time where they were drinking, and she says he's the only one that's ever given me, finished me. I'm gonna say it that way. Finished her.
Yeah,
No one else has ever had. No one else has ever did that to her. And I'm just
yeah, yeah.
like,
Yeah, I got you.
that's really messed up. Yeah, that's really messed up. The non-straight guy.
You know, I
Yeah.
did see the guy that plays Greg. I think his name is Thomas Gibson. He he, he looks a lot. He's held up for Dharma and Greg being like over 20 years ago.
Yeah.
They might be able to do a reboot if they actually feel like doing it. And they did do a little cameo, but they did a cameo on Two and a Half Men in the year that I think it was like the season premiere of season 9 when they had killed off Charlie, and the
Okay.
mom was showing the house to different people, and they had Dharma and Greg looking at the house, and they're like, "Oh, you and your family, we'll
Oh,
take you." There's a cameo of Dharma and Greg inside of Two and a Half Men. So you see how everything
very
comes back
cool.
to Chuck Lorre being
Oh yeah.
the man, you know. But buddy, I I could have said, well, buddy, I've had a I've had a rocking
Talk about too much
childhood.
drama and Greg there. Yeah.
But yeah, buddy, I got
Right.
enough of that. I think it's time they're waving us in. Everybody, if you like the show, subscribe, share it, and have a good day. Peace out.
Yep. Peace out.